Hello everyone. Today I am going to be doing my February wrap-up. I actually did pretty well this month for reading. I read a total of 4 books and then 1 novella. So I'm actually pretty proud of myself, especially because one of the books was kind of a bigger book. So I am just going to jump in to all of the books that I read in this month. The first book I read was the novella, and it is called Nothing But Shadows, and it is by Cassandra Clare. It is a part of Tales of Shadowhunter Academy. I really enjoyed this novella. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I haven't really been keeping up with the Tales of Shadowhunter Academy series in the ebook forms. I think I read 3 of them, so this was my 3rd one that I read. So I haven't really been keeping up with the novellas, but when I heard that this one was about James Herndale, I just knew I had to read it because James, honestly, he's one of my favorites. I love him so much, and we really haven't read much from his point of view, but I already know that I'm going to be in love with him. So I really enjoyed reading about this novella. I don't want to talk too much about it just because I know it is a middle book in that series, so if you have not read any of the other ones, then I don't want to spoil too much of it for you, but just know that I really enjoyed this one, especially because I had to do everything with James, and he's just one of my favorite characters. The next book I read in February was Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. This is a reread for me. This is the 2nd time I read this book, and I just had the feeling of reading it just because talking about James and getting a little bit of Will in that novella just really made me want to read this book. Obviously, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I actually took kind of a break between this one because the next book that I read in my wrap-up, I read in the middle of this, so I was almost done with this book. I had about like 100 pages left, but then this other book came out that I had to read first. It was really nice to be able to reread this book again because I just forgot about how much I really loved it. I don't want to say too much about this one either just because it is a prequel to the Mortal Instruments series, but if you have not read The Mortal Instruments or The Infernal Devices, I highly recommend them. They are some of my favorite books ever. The next book I read, I am very excited to talk about again, and that is Morning Star by Pierce Brown. I have been talking about this book so much. I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was excellent. I have a full review on this book. It's like 20 minutes long, so it's a really long video, but I'll leave it down below if you want to go check it out. So I'm not going to say too much of my thoughts on these books, but this book seriously did not disappoint. I just miss it so much. I had such a book hangover after this. It was not even funny. Like I said before, I was reading Clockwork Angel, and then this book came out, so I put Clockwork Angel down. I finished this one. I sobbed when I finished it. Then when I tried to pick up Clockwork Angel again, I'm like, this isn't Morning Star. This book isn't Morning Star. I need Morning Star back. So it made me really sad to finally finish these, but I love them. And they're so good, and you need to pick up Red Rising. Red Rising is about a guy named Darrow, and he is a red, which is the lowest class in society, and golds are the highest in society. These are adult books. I think the first book is kind of classified as YA adult, but the rest of the books are definitely in adult books. But they are incredible, and they just deal with so many things, and it's not just your typical read. You feel so many emotions, and I really enjoyed this one. The next book I read, unfortunately, I did not like as much as I liked the other books, and that is Forbidden by Eve Bunting. This book, I'm sorry to say, but it was terrible. I absolutely hated this book, and I hate talking bad about books. Like, I really really don't like talking bad about books because, you know, I love them, and I feel really bad when I don't like a book because obviously it sucks when you don't like a book that you read, and I just did not like this one at all. It's really, really short, and if it wasn't this short, I probably wouldn't have finished it. That's how bad it was. I'll try to put into words what I think this book is about, but honestly, it was so unclear and so confusing that I don't really know if I can. It was not what I was expecting, to say the least. It's about this girl named Josie, and her parents die, and she has to live with her aunt and uncle. And the town that she's in is just really weird. No one's friendly. Everyone's really mean to her. And then she meets this boy named Eli, and everyone is telling her that he is forbidden, but she's still drawn to him anyway. And that's basically the premise of the book. And I don't know how to explain this book. I don't know. Nothing was explained in this book at all. Even the ending, you figure out why Eli's forbidden, but it doesn't make any sense, and nothing is explained at the end of this book. And the insta-love was so bad. So bad. Josie barely talked to Eli throughout this book, and she was like madly in love with him, and I just can't. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry, but I just did not like this book at all. I gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. I really don't recommend it. Maybe I would have liked it more if I was younger. Like, if I was in middle school, I might have liked this book, but I'm 18 now, and it wasn't for me. So maybe if you're younger, you might enjoy this book, but it definitely was not something that I really enjoyed at all. And the last book I read in February, I just finished it like 30 minutes ago. That is Reign of Shadows by Sophie Jordan. I'm actually really proud of myself because 3 out of the 5 books I read, I bought in my past book haul. I bought 13 books in my last book haul, but that's pretty good because usually it takes me like months to pick up the books that I purchased, but I read 3 of them this month, so I'm pretty proud of myself. Reign of Shadows is a Rapunzel retelling. It's about this girl named Luna, and she is stuck in a tower because she is the princess and the heir to the throne, and the king is hunting her down. If the king finds her, then he will kill her so then he can stay in power, and the world is in complete darkness, and there are these creatures that are hunting everyone, and it's about Luna, and she meets this boy named Fowler, and he is a hunter, and he takes her away so he can protect her because her tower is under attack. I really, really enjoyed this one. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was a really quick book. It was very fast-paced. I just really enjoyed it. It wasn't like the best book I've ever read, which is why I gave it a 4.5. There was something about Luna that was revealed in the beginning of the book that I was caught off guard by. It was kind of shocking, but I really liked that part of the story. I also did guess the plot twist at the end of this book, but it did not take away from the story at all. It was still really enjoyable. There was a bit of an insta-love between Fowler and Luna, but they did bicker back and forth, and they fought, and they really didn't get along, but they still kind of had feelings for each other. So there was that little bit of insta-love, which you might not like if you are really not a fan of that at all. But I really didn't think it was very overwhelming, and it definitely didn't ruin the story at all. At least for me, it didn't. So I really, really enjoyed this one. It left on a pretty big cliffhanger, so I'm really excited for the second book to come out. I hope there's a second book to this series because I'll be really mad if there isn't. But it was very, very enjoyable. If you're kind of just looking for kind of a light fantasy read, then I would suggest picking this one up. Here are the 4 books that I read in February, plus the ebook I read. I really, really enjoyed all of the books that I read except for the one, which, that's okay, it happens. I'm really, really proud of my reading this month. I feel like I got a lot of reading done, and for the majority, I liked all of the books that I read, so that is always very promising as well. The only book I know that I'm going to be reading in the month of March is Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I just kind of realized that it's like 2 weeks away and I'm kind of freaking out a little bit about it. I'm really, really excited for that. It comes out on March 8th. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to, and I will talk to you next time. Bye! And that is one of the novellas in the Tales of the Shadow Hunt. It is a part of the Tales of a Shadow Hunt. What is the book called? Clockwork Angel. Yep, that's what it was.